Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review Jack Daniel's newest release. That is the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye Bonded. You know the drill, run the video. Alright then folks, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another new and exciting episode of the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode we will be reviewing the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Bonded. So this is a new release from Jack Daniel's and I was able to find it here recently. It seems to be pretty much readily available most places in most states right now. But before we get into today's video, don't forget, if you don't already know, we have a 5,000 subscriber giveaway here where we will be giving away 6 bottles to some lucky subscribers at home. What you need to do to be in with a chance to win, you need to make sure you're a subscriber first and foremost, and then you also need to go over to the Whiskey Cove's webpage and then submit your ticket there as well. And what we'll do is we'll pull names on a 5,000 live stream. So the bottles that we have so far are going to be the Willet 4-year Rye, the Old Forester single barrel strength, a Weller OWA, and then lastly the newest one to be released was the early times bottled in bond, and that is the brown Foreman black top one. So if you would like to be in with a chance to win one of these bottles, definitely sign up for that free giveaway over on the Whiskey Cove's website. Link is down below in the description, and just make sure you are a subscriber. We will also be giving away another 2 bottles for every 500 because we're at about 4,000 right now, and then 4,500 we'll announce another one, and 5,000 we'll also announce the last bottle. So let's get these out of the way here. And then also as well, if you like today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you don't like today's video, heck, I don't judge, hit the thumbs down, but we would appreciate the thumbs up, that's for sure. So with that being said, let's get into today's review, shall we? And that is the Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye. I paid $29.99 for this, about the same price that I paid for the Jack Daniel's Bonded and the Jack Daniel's Triple Mash last year, which was of mixed success, shall we say. I very much liked the Bonded. That is a fantastic budget bourbon, and yes, I'm calling it a bourbon because it can be called a bourbon because they file patents every year for bourbons and Tennessee whiskey. So call it bourbon, call it Tennessee whiskey, whatever you feel comfortable with. The Triple Mash, I wasn't the biggest fan because it had a big kind of American single malt, corny, wheaty, grainy note that I don't particularly like in whiskeys, and that came through a lot, but I appreciated it for what it is, like 3 different blends of whiskey. However, we are reviewing the Bonded Rye here today. Again, much like those 2 other ones, this is a 700 milliliter bottle, which is a bit of a shame, but that seems to be the direction that Jack Daniel's seem to be going in with a lot of these budget whiskeys right now. This is a 100% proof or 100 proof or 50% ABV because it is bottled in bond. And just on the front label it reads, uniquely crafted rye grain bill delivers a bold and complex flavor. The bottle itself, it's kind of like a little bit of a throwback bottle. It's got a lot of like etched and raised numbers on the back there. And then the label itself is like a nice dark green with this nice gold and white writing on the front there as well. It's quite a beautiful bottle and quite eye-catching, much like the Bonded and much like the Triple Mash. I wonder if we'll see any more release of this kind of mini series from Jack Daniel's. Let's get this bottle opened and then we'll see what it tastes and smells like. It kind of just has like a plastic black typical Jack Daniel's seal on top here. Let's go in for a Coke pop here. Oh, that's a pretty good one. Really high notes of that Coke pop. Yes, very well indeed. Also, as a real Coke, it is quite lightweight, so the top is actually quite thin. Kind of has a nice little bounce to it there as well. Let's get this whiskey into one of the Whiskey Cove Glencairns here as well. And just looking or observing the whiskey in the glass, it is quite dark, as you would expect from a rye whiskey there as well. It's kind of very shades of mahogany, but light brown, maybe like if you hold it up to the light, maybe a little bit of like the candy, the caramel cone candy, orange notes kind of there as well. There is a little bit of particulates in the glass. Not sure where that's coming from. It is a clean glass, but I'm definitely picking up a calcium deposit in the glass there as well. And it does a pretty good job of looking quite oily in the glass as we just kind of roll it. Really wants to stick to the side of the glass there as well. So let's kind of go in for a nose on this Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye and see how it stacks up, shall we? First impression is it has a lot going on in the nose, and the flavors that it does have are quite strong there as well. It's very flavorful. Much like a lot of other Jack Daniel's products, I do get a bubblegum note there as well. Very nice, sweet, caramelly bubblegum note with maybe a little bit of banana. Banana can be associated with that bubblegum note. So when you see, hear someone say like banana runs or banana candy, it's kind of like a bubblegummy banana note that you get in whiskeys. And you do get it from a lot of brown Foreman products, like Jack Daniel's, like Old Forest that I picked up, and then sometimes Woodford Reserve there as well. But I don't find it off-putting at all. I think it comes together really well with some of the sweeter notes of Jack Daniel's. Beautiful caramel notes there as well. Not too much wood presence. You're definitely picking up a little bit of that spicy, I wouldn't say minty rye note, but it's definitely a little spicier on this one. But the sweetness of the Jack Daniel's palate or nose so far kind of does a really great job of just balancing that out. Beautiful caramel corn notes there as well. You probably wouldn't be able to tell that this was a rye so much if you give it to someone. They might not be able to tell that it's a rye, maybe a high rye bourbon, but it definitely has some more similar notes to the Jack Daniel's Bonded, but just a little bit more spicier and proofier on the nose. Heck, let's stop talking and go in for a taste here. It doesn't taste as sweet as I thought it would on the palate. It definitely does dry things out almost from the beginning. You get that initial very small sweetness, and then it dries out. You get some of that oak character there as well. But it's not as sweet as I was thinking right on the beginning of the palate. But that sweetness does come back a little bit on the back end and then on the finish there as well. I am picking up some kind of like some figs on there. So like think of like the darker dried stone fruit flavors, like figs, like maybe like a dried apricot or something like that there as well. But it's more of the darker brownier stone fruits, like fig, raisins, that sort of thing, or maybe like a plum. Also, I am definitely getting that kick up of rye spice, that kick up of black pepper, rye flavor that you associated with a lot of ryes. This doesn't drink like a traditional rye. This also doesn't drink like what I like to call bourbon drinkers rye, where it tastes almost more bourbon than it does rye. This is just a Jack Daniel's rye. You have that Jack Daniel's Tennessee sweetness on the first step, and then the rye kind of takes over there as well. Let's go in for another taste to see if we can pick it apart further. So let's talk a little bit about mouthfeel on this one as well. It does have an excellent mouthfeel, even though it does dry the tongue and the palate there as well. It does stick around, and you can pick it apart for quite a while. The finish just goes on and on and on, if you like. The heat is definitely coming up here. Yes, it's a little spicy because it is a rye, so you might associate that with like a more of a proofier whiskey, but all that proof is just coming from like the rye cracked black pepper, horseradish type spicier notes that are in this whiskey. I'm getting a little bit of that bubblegum and banana on the back end there, and maybe a little bit of powdered chocolate as well. I try not to look for mint or spearmint in whiskeys because it's generally not a note that I like, and same as dill that people associate with rice. So I really try this weird subconscious game to not look for those flavors, because it can turn the whiskey for me if you like, and I'm not picking them up on this, and hopefully now that I've said it that I do not pick them up on this next taste here as well. And then just talking a little bit about that wood presence there as well. You are getting a little bit of like tobacco, I think would be a really good descriptor here, because you get the dryness of the tobacco, which is actually probably the wood, and then you get some of the spicy notes from the rye. So it definitely has that tobacco feeling to it there as well. All in all, a very well balanced rye, and it seems to me so far pretty well priced for a $30 bottle. Jack Daniel's makes some excellent products. I'm a big fan of Jack Daniel's. Obviously, people might not give it greatest reputation because of the old number 7 and the brand that was centered around them. But they've gone off, I wouldn't say in a different direction, because they do still have some of those atypical Jack Daniel's notes. But the quality, the consistency of their whiskey has completely skyrocketed there as well. So let's talk a little bit about value for money, shall we? There's a lot going on in this whiskey. It offers a lot. It offers some nice sweetness, some caramel core notes on the nose, a little bit of spice there as well. And then as you gently go into the palate, you get a little bit of barrel char and sweetness at the beginning, and then it dries out really far with some of that woodier notes, and then the kind of the rice spice takes over. Just on the back end, that complements the mouthfeel of the oiliness. You do get a little bit of that sweetness that comes back there as well. So for value for money, for $30, I'm giving this an A, and I think you can put this in the category with stuff like Rittenhouse Rye and Sazerac Rye, because they're all kind of around that price, and those two bottles are excellent value for money as well. But what this does is that offers something a little bit different. It offers a Jack Daniel's Rye, which is what exactly this is. You get those Jack Daniel's notes that you don't normally get in other ryes, because this is a Tennessee Rye, which is what they call themselves. And I guess it goes through the Lincoln County process of the distillate running through maple charcoal. So that's what makes the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Rye. So value for money, A, all day long. And then rating out of 100. We like to do 100 because we feel like it's the most specific scale that we can give whiskeys. So value for money, A, and then the score it out of 100. I'm going to give this an 81, which is a really good score for a $30 bottle of whiskey. There is not many whiskeys that can break the 80 mark for the Whiskey Cove, and this definitely did it as well. If you're someone who likes ryes, if you're someone who likes Jack Daniel's, but you want to maybe get into ryes, this is the perfect whiskey for that. Excellent mouthfeel. That's probably the standout take-home kind of headline, if you want, is just how oily and viscous this is for a $30 bottle of whiskey. Most of the time for $30 bottles of whiskey, what you're looking for is just something to stand out, because they're normally just a little bit flat. There's not too much of going, there's not too much spice, there's not too much sweetness, not too much oak, not too much age. They're just quite subtle and subdued. But with this, you do get some spikes from some of those categories. And that's what makes it well, because it balances all those together as well. So 81 out of 100, A, all day long. Go out and get yourself a bottle of Jack Daniel's Bonded Rye for $30. Thank you, Jack Daniel's, for keeping your prices low on your products. It is much appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like. If you have any recommendations of stuff you'd like to see behind me being reviewed, we always like to do that for you folks at home, so please let us know. So as we drink through the world's whiskies, one glass at a time, Jack Daniel's Bond is pretty darn good. Cheers.